Hey, I'm Hope, and this is my daughter, Olivia, and we are so excited to have a few minutes to share a little bit about our story with you guys. My husband, David, and I have been a part of the Belonging since the very beginning, and here we are almost 12 years later, and you know, every season of life in this church has been marked by God doing something really powerful in both my husband and I's life, but also in the life of our children. I'll never forget the first year that Pastor Mal was like, we're gonna have a kids camp. And I was like, what? Because I didn't grow up going to kids camp. It was so foreign to me. I never went to any kind of camp, and especially an overnight camp. And I remember like telling my husband that, and he was like, really? You never went to a camp? And I was like, I really didn't. So I didn't have context for it. And because it didn't have context for it, it actually created a lot of questions and a lot of fear, I think, inside of me. And I wrestled with whether or not I should send my kids or not send my kids. And eventually my husband really prompted me, and he was like, hey, I think this is going to be really good for our daughter, Olivia, to go to kids camp. And sure enough, we sent her to kids camp, and God encountered her in a really special way.
I remember the first year. It was just so fun. You have the most amazing time, especially like being away from your parents. But I also remember I got my first prophetic vision at camp, and I also got to make a significant step in my journey with the Lord by getting baptized.
You know, you would think because she went to kids camp and had this amazing experience, and she gets baptized and she has this prophetic vision, and she starts going every year, and then our next daughter goes every year. You would think that by the time we got to the years of her being in middle school and high school and going to youth camp, I would have been like the first to sign up. And yet it was like the same thing over again. It's just so common for parents to just be scared of something new, something that seems unfamiliar. And I was really praying and asking the Lord to like give me clarity. Like, is she ready? Is it time? Because I didn't want to make a decision out of fear for your life. But I was on the road with Belonging Music, and we were doing this conference, and this amazing speaker was giving this message, and I was seeing all of these kids respond. And I'm sitting in my seat, and it's just clear as day that the Holy Spirit just began to speak to me and was like, your fear is preventing Olivia from having an encounter with me at camp that is like a moment that I reserved for her, and I need you to get out of the way, basically. And I remember like going home and sharing that with my husband, and I had to surrender that, like you do all the time in parenting. It's a constant act of remembering to get out of the way and let the Lord do the work that He's meant to do in their lives while still being their parent. And so my husband and I had talked about it, and I knew in my spirit she needed to go, but I hadn't told her yet. And that night she was going to youth, and she had just the most amazing way that God showed up and shared kind of the same thing with her.
Youth camp was coming up, and we were doing a worship night to like pray into youth camp and like get expectant. I still went even though I wasn't going to camp, and I just remember worshiping and praying for the people going to camp, and I heard the Lord be like, Olivia, like you need to go to camp too. And so I come home and I like wake my mom up, and I'm like, Mom, I think the Lord told me I need to go to camp. And she was like, the Lord told me that too. And it was the most amazing week of my life. It is just so powerful every time. I love getting to sit in the sessions and learn new things that I'd never learned before. And I also love tribe wars. I'm very competitive, and so it's just so fun. I can't even imagine not going to youth camp anymore. I've been going, and I get so excited every year because it's honestly just changed my life and changed the way that I've gotten to experience the Lord.
Well, church, this is where we get to show up. Every year we have dozens of kids that really want to go, and they don't have the resources to make that happen. But I know this is a generous church. I've seen it over and over and over again. We would love for all of you to consider sponsoring a kid to go to kids camp or youth camp. So if you're a parent that's really thinking about sending your kids and you have questions, don't hesitate to reach out. Our pastors are so ready to answer all those questions and help you make all those decisions. And if you're a family that is in need of sponsorship, we also want you to reach out. And we are just gonna be believing that every resource is gonna come in, that there is not a single kid that doesn't get to go to camp that wants to. Thank you again for your generosity to sponsor these kids. We cannot wait to see what God does in their lives at camp this year.